Welcome, dear students. Today we're going to start in chapter 4, immunity in living organisms, and what is the importance of the immunity in the plant and human body. Let's start our lesson today. Immunity in living organisms. In our lesson today, we want to know how our body defends against microbes and viruses and so on. Well, the life of any living organism is exposed always to a lot of threats from viruses, bacteria, and biological sources such as what? Any pathogens. Pathogens, they are any external effect that may harm our body, such as what? Some insects, animal, protozoans, fungi, bacteria, and also different types of viruses in our daily life. Yet, and also non-biological sources. So we have two different of threats or pathogens, biological and non-biological sources. Non-biological such as what? Like accidents, like natural disasters, like disturbance of the surrounding elements of the environment, like harmful elements that coming out from cars, from fumes around us, and so on. Those are called non-biological sources. Okay, before starting the studying of immunity, we need to just get a kind of introduction about the lesson. And every kind of living organism developed defense mechanism. Defense, it needs to fight for himself. It needs to fight to survive. From these mechanisms such as what? Like change of the color of camouflage. You know that some of insects and butterflies, they are need to what? To camouflage or changing their colors just to stimulate the color of the environment and also to escape from their enemies. So after that we have like secretions of toxins. Toxins, they are toxic substances. Some insects and some animals, they have ability to secrete a toxic or a poisonous, okay, for what? To defend on themselves, to kill other organisms, to can survive, as we said. And also like running to escape. Some animals, they are very fast, and other animals, they are what? Very lazy. Or some animals, they aren't move yet, like sponge. It doesn't have any locomotory organs. These methods are always changing to face the circumstances or to face the environmental changes that the living organism faces. So all these methods are known as what? The immune system from all of these circumstances. Again, as we said, any living organism, it needs to defend on itself, okay, by a different way, by running, by camouflage, by mimicry, and so on. And these methods, they are differ from time to time. Right now we're going to start what? The immunity. Okay, immunity, it is the ability of the body to resist, to face the diseases, or the body's ability through what? Through something called immune system inside our body that we're going to study in our lesson today. To resist the pathogens, as we said, biological or non-biological pathogens, and also to prevent the entry of the pathogens into the body of the organism. So the main target, the main purpose of the immune system is just to defend in the body and also to prevent the entering and penetrating of these pathogens inside the living organism's body. Like what? Attacking the pathogens and foreign bodies and destroying them when they enter the body of the organism. So in our lesson, the immunity, it divides into 3 or more different types, such as what? The first type, that we need to defend the body from external, okay, I mean to to prevent entering the pathogen inside the living organism's body, or after entering, if the pathogen it can success and penetrate the body of living organism, it's gonna be distracted, it will be damaged inside the living organism. This is a type of the immunity. Also, the immune system works according to two main systems, which are the innate system and acquired or adaptive immunity. So right now we're going to study the innate system separately and acquired or adaptive immunity on the other side. Okay, well, let's start. Two immunity systems inside the living organism's body are, they are work in cooperation, I mean they work together, and coordination. The innate system, it is a very necessary, essential for what? For the acquired immunity. Acquired here is meant to gain or to get the immunity to works by a successful way, and also vice versa. This correlation, I mean this relation between them allows what? That the body can act with the pathogen. It can attack the pathogen, okay, by two ways, according to the innate system that already exists inside the living organism's body, or acquired or adaptive immunity system. Number one, we're going to start in the immunity in the plant. The causes of disease and death in plants are limited to three main reasons. So we have how many reasons that we have for dead or destroying the plants? We have a lot of reasons, but right now in our curriculum we have just three main reasons. Number one, the dangerous enemies. Like what? Like including grazing animals, insects, fungi, bacteria, and a lot of viruses. Yes, we have a different type or different various of viruses that may infect the plants. And also unsuitable conditions, such as what? Like high temperature or low temperature, high temperature or excessive cold. I mean lower or decreasing in temperature, that the plants cannot adapt with different circumstances or unsuitable conditions. And also increasing or decreasing in the amount of water or salinity, I mean the amount of salt in the water. And also the deficiency of nutrients. Deficiencies mean what? Decreasing the amount of food or nutrients that found in the soil, or unsuitable soil yet. Some plants, they are exist, unsuitable, it's not proper for it. Okay, some plants, they need sand soil, and otherwise some plants need silt or clay soil, and so on. Finally, the toxic substances. The toxic, yes, like poisons and so on, such as what? Smoke and toxic fumes, insecticides and pesticides. Insecticides, they are some chemicals they are used to kill or eradicate insects, okay? And also untreated sewage water. Untreated sewage water, it's the water that we don't use it and we need to treat it before trash them out. They are called untreated sewage water. And also flowing from factories, that they are coming out from factories or coming out from some houses, to the rivers and irrigation water. Irrigation water, the water that we use it to irrigate and to feed the plants and our crops. Note that the first factor, I mean the dangerous enemies, that often causes severe damage. Severe here, it's mean what? It's mean destroying, a critical damage, or the absolutely damaging for the plant or the plant's life, or causing a dangerous diseases. Okay, so the first factor that we have, which is dangerous enemies, is a very dangerous or that causes severe damage. But what about the second and third factor? I mean unsuitable conditions and toxic substances. The second and third factors, they can be avoided. We can avoid them, okay, or treat them by what? By some elements of third reason that may be lethal to the plant. Okay, well, right now we need to know how does the immune system work in the plant, starting with the immunity in the plant. The plants defend themselves against pathogens through two main ways. The first way is the achievement of some mechanisms through their own structures. I mean, the structure that already exists in the plant. Okay, they doesn't need to secrete a specific substance or to secrete something. It's just structure that already exists in the plant from starting of its creature. So number one, it's first way, it's what achievement of some mechanism through their its structure that already exists inside it, as what structural immunity. We call it what structural immunity. What the second way in the immunity of the plant is by responding to secrete chemical substances. Some plants, they have ability to secrete a different chemical substances. Those chemical substances are called biochemical immunity. So we have two different ways for defending the plant on itself. Number one, the structural immunity, it's already existing in the plant. Number two, the biochemical immunity. The importance of the plant to human, I mean, before starting to study the two different ways, we need to study the immunity of the plant, because the plant, they are very important to us for our daily life, such as what? Like the human uses different methods and introduces means or devices to protect the plant from diseases, such as what? The using of the herbicides to protect the plant from the harmful weeds, and also struggling with the insects in different ways. Struggle here means to fight for something. That human always they need to fight with the insects in different ways, or stimulating the plant to resist. Stimulate, I mean to force the plant to resist the disease. And this type of immunity is called acquired immunity. I mean, we need to force the plant to secrete something to defend on the pathogen that may destroy the plant, and so on. And also producing strains or species, different types of the plants that has ability to resist the diseases and insects through the plant breeding or by using the genetic engineering. Well, by the way, we have something which is called genetic engineering, that we can use different traits of the plants. What does it mean, different traits or strains? I mean, we have a different species of the plant, okay, and we can extract and we can get a specific type of these species that has ability to resist different insects, has the ability to resist the disease, and so on. By the way, we can producing such as these strains in our community, and also the activation compounds of protection and resistance can transfer from one cell to another in a regular manner. So if you go into activate or you respond one plant, okay, to defend or to fight for a disease, inside the plant, the adjacent cells, they can also defend on themselves through the transport system in the plant, which is like xylem and phloem in the plant, which corresponds to the blood vessels like the human or animals. Starting with the structural immunity in the plant, it acts as the first line of defense. First line is mean what? It means the first line of defense for the pathogen, okay? To prevent the pathogens to entering and spreading inside the plant. So structural, as we said, it's a structure or something that already exists in the plant, okay? And we doesn't need to stimulate, we doesn't need to force the plant to secrete something. It's already exists in the plant, and we're going to study it right now. And it is also a natural barriers. Natural barriers that there is no any human interventions. I mean the man or human, it doesn't need to force the plant to do it. And it includes two main types. The structural immune or pre-existing in the plant, it's already existing in the plant, in the structure of the plant, or we call it what? Pre-existing structural defenses. Because of what? It means they are already exist before. Okay, we doesn't need to force the plant to secrete or to activate the plant to secrete a specific substance or something like that. It's already in its structure. Remember that. The structural immune, it resulting as what? As a response to an infection. Infection is mean what? For example, we have a plant and the insect, it wants to cut or take a part of the plant. This is called infection. Or when any such a virus, it wants to attack the plant, this is infection. Okay, even yourself, if you have something hard and you want to, or sharp, and cut a part of the plant, this is infection. Okay, what after that, what happened when the plant or the part of the plant get infection? Induced structural defenses. Well, the pre-existing structural defenses, they are what? These structural defenses is represented by the following way. Okay, the epidermal cells of the plant. The epidermal cells, they are a group of cells that already cover the plant from its external, from outside. So they are called epidermal, okay, or epidermal cells. The epidermis or the epidermal layer that act as the first bulwark. Bulwark is mean what? It's a first line defense for the plant, okay? That resists and it wants to prevent the pathogen from attacking the plant. They may be covered with waxy layer. Waxy layer, it's a layer that sometime cover the plant and sometimes the doesn't cover the plant, to form what kind of water repellent, or they prevent the water from entering the cells of the plant. So water repellent surface, so the water doesn't settle on the surface. I mean some plants, they doesn't need a large amount of water. They need to get a water by a specific or by such an amount, okay, step by step, not by a large amount of water. Therefore, the suitable environment for growth of the fungi and reproduction of bacteria, it doesn't be happen, they isn't available. Well, for your information, the fungi and bacteria, they need a kind of moisture, they need a kind of dampness, I mean they need an amount of water. And in the absence of the amount of water on the surface of the plant, so there is no reason for accumulation of the fungi and bacteria on the surface of the plant due to what? Presence of the waxy layer. And this is the first line of defense, as we said, the epidermal or epidermis cells, okay, which is what? That form waxy layer to prevent standing water. And also sometimes they are covered with hairs and thorns. Thorns mean spines. For what? Yep, to avoid the accumulation of water or standing water or being eaten by grazing animals like cactus, like some of plants, most of the plants that they are exist in the deserts. Their leaves, they are converted into what? Into spines or thorns to what? To prevent the grazing animals, and they can make the photosynthesis process by the stem, like a Opuntia plant. And also the chance of infections with diseases will decrease after all that. So we have the structural immunity, as we said, the first line of defense, such as what? Such as waxy layer, or some plants are covered with hairs and others they covered with thorns to prevent what? To prevent pathogens from entering in the plant. The cell wall, after that, after the epidermal layer, the cell wall. The outer protection of the cells, especially the epidermal layers. Well, do you know the structure of the plant cell as we studied before and we said that any plant cell, okay, it consists of the cell wall, okay, and after that we have what? The plasma membrane. While in our body there is no any cell wall. Well, cell wall, it's a very hard and stiff layer relative to the plasma membrane. So it acts as what? It acts as a kind of protection for the plant. The epidermal layer consists of cellulose, and this cellulose will thickening. Thickening is mean it increases. Okay, I mean it's a lot of cellulose they are accumulated by what? By making it is so difficult for pathogen to penetrate it. I mean, if there is an insect or grazing animal that wants to eat a part of the plant, in existing of these layers, which is cellulose layers, and a lot of thickening of the plant around the cells, when the pathogen wants to penetrate it, it will be very hard for it to penetrate it. After that, we have induced structural defenses. Actually, it is represented by what? The cork formation. What does it mean, cork formation? The cork, they are layers that form to isolate or to separate different areas that exposed to cut or tearing. Okay, let me to show that. We have a part of the plant. Okay, if you have a sharp tool and you're going to cut a part in the stem of the plant, or you cut a part in the any plant branches of the plant. Well, as soon as you're doing this cut in the plant, okay, the cork layer, it wants to isolate the cutting part away from, or this infection that you did it away from what? From the whole plant. This is the meaning of to isolate area that exposed to cut or tearing. So the increase in the thickening of the plant, I mean the cork layers, that during its growth, the collection of the fruits also, and because of the fall of the leaves in the autumn, and those are called like what? They are reasons for what? For protection of the plant from its biological activities, like what? Like falling the leaves in the autumn, or due to what? The human or animal encouragement. Encouragement means affiliation, okay, and all of that causes what? Preventing the entry of the pathogen to the plant. So from our illustration right now, we know that the immune system, it's not only for to defend the plant or defend any living organism from inside, no, but it's from outside. And if the pathogen it succeeds to enter the living organism, the immune system works to destroy it. Also, we have the formation of tyloses. Tyloses or overgrowths, I mean increasing, extra growth, okay, of a protoplast of the adjacent living parenchymatous cells. Parenchymatous, they are parenchyma cells. As we studied before, we have different types of cells like parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, okay, as we studied in the first secondary. And here we are talking about the parenchyma cells or parenchymatous cells, both of them, right, which protrude, I mean it's increase something like bud or bulk into xylem vessels. Xylem, they are vessels or they are tubes where the water transfer inside the plant. And trachea through pits. Pits, they are a very tiny holes that spread in the plant. They are formed as a result of what? Exposure of vascular system to cut or to invasion of the pathogens. Well, let's to show that when the plant exposure or subjected for vascular system cutting, vascular system is what? Xylem and phloem. Okay, we have two main systems. The xylem, they are vessels that transfer and transport the water through the plant, through the whole plant. And the phloem, it's vessels that they are used to transfer or transport the food or the sugar or carbohydrate where the plant already manufactured them. Okay, if this structure is subjected or it damaged, the formation of layers to protect it is a very necessary. And also to obstruct, to move it, the movement of these organisms to the other parts of the plant, to prevent the pathogen from spreading inside the plant. And also the deposition of gums. Okay, when the infected plant by wounds or cutting, the secreting of gum within the cells that surrounding the locus of infection. Okay, the gum, they are a group of cells that already they secreted by the plant as a kind of responding or activation in the plant to prevent the pathogen from entering the adjacent cells inside it, and also from prevent the entry of microbes inside the plant. And what else? The second way, which is cellular immune structures. So as we are talking about cellular immune structure, so we're talking about what? The whole cells, okay, not the whole plant as we studied before in cork layer or in epidermal layer, no, but we are going to talk about just inside the whole cell, okay? Well, some morphological changes maybe happen, okay, or occurs as a result of the invasion inside the plant, such as what? What is the morphological? It means the external or the out shape of the cell. It may be changed after infection by pathogen, like swelling the cell walls of epidermal cells, and also the swelling of cells under the epidermis during what? During the direct penetration of the pathogens. Okay, swelling, it means they are increasing the size, okay, their volumes increases. This is swelling. So as soon as the pathogen wants, or the moment of the penetration, the direct penetration, the cells, they are swelling at this moment, okay, as a kind of what? Of structure or changing in the cell structure. That may cause what? That leading to inhibition of the penetration. Inhibition is mean to decrease or to prevent the penetration process of the pathogen through those cells, and from this or to prevent it from surrounding or adjacent cells also, and also surrounding the mycelium, which attack the plant with an insulator cover, and also to prevent the transmission of the fungus from cell to another. How can we get rid of the injured tissue? And this is another way for getting rid of or to move the injured tissue. When the plant gets rid of the infected tissue, when the plant wants to remove, to eliminate the infected tissue, it's known as, this process known as hypersensitive response. Again, when the plant wants to get rid of the infected tissue, we call it what? Hypersensitive. Hyper is mean increasing. Sensitive, it means that it's a very sensitive, like we are going to see it. The plant kills some tissue. Seriously, yes, the plant kills some tissue from itself, going to destroy the surrounding area, to prevent the pathogens from spreading to the surrounding tissue. Yep, so we have here infected area in the plant, and the plant wants to remove it. But the plant, after removing the infected tissue, the plant going to kill the infected and some healthy tissue surround it. All of that, why? To removing or to prevent from spreading the surrounding tissue, okay? Such as the surgical surgery in human. When someone, for example, infected with the cancer or liver cancer, the doctor always, when he wants to cut the infected part and also an extra part, to be sure or to prevent that there is no any more infected cell that they, or healthy cells, they are maybe infected. The plant can get rid of these pathogen by what? The death of the injured tissue. The plant decided finally to remove or to eliminate the injured tissues.